have the chamber and we have our minds, and then we're talking Is it the case that people anthropologists have already discovered, let's say, Homo neanderthalis skeletons that are, they've been buried and posed in a particular way with things around them, and so it's like right, but we're going in a kind of order, so I'm starting earlier than
I'm trying to turn it down 5 minutes ago.
What's so fascinating is that the Neanderthal burials don't come to 100,000 years ago or 60,000 years ago in here in Russia, which is a Homo sapiens site, just mentioned 27,000. So my idea is that again we have some glimmers and some intriguing hints 250,000 years ago. Now let's just fast forward and leap.
Clarify this Two of Swords. I feel like the Two of Swords is saying that you had a lot of faith.
The next step is controversial because, of course, we have this small problem, which is that belief doesn't fossilize, so we don't know.
Right.
And we have people, we have a chamber, and we have our minds. And as we're talking about, right, we're searching and yearning always to figure this out.
But isn't it the case? Isn't it the case though that it's that people have anthropologists have already discovered, let's say, Homo neanderthalis skeletons that are they've been buried and posed in a particular way with things around them, and so it's
like in Sungir, right?
But we're going in a kind of order, so I'm starting a little earlier than Neanderthals, right? We have the roots of Neanderthal populations at this time, but what's so fascinating is that the Neanderthal burials don't come to 100,000 years ago or 60,000 years ago in Sungir in Russia, which is a Homo sapiens site, as you just mentioned, is like 27,000. So my idea is that, again, we have some glimmers and some intriguing hints 250,000 years ago. Now, let's just fast forward, let me leap over many thousands of years, and we come to Neanderthals. They are not our ancestors, they are our cousins. We used to say that they lived from 200-something thousand to 40,000, and then they went extinct. We no longer say that because here in the audience there's tons of Neanderthal genetic material in many populations, except some populations in Africa, because we did not have Neanderthals in Africa. We find, just as you were saying, Lisa, that there are very intentional burials with all kinds of grave goods. So people didn't just, stick people in the earth. They marked the graves as something special. To give you one example, there's a 40,000-year-old burial of a toddler in what's today Spain with a hearth all around 60 sets of oryx and bison horns, a rhino skull. This was a place that mattered. In some sense, we can think of it as a sacred place. The question is there belief in an afterlife? Is there belief in supernatural beings? How would we know? We're imposing a great deal of our framework onto the past. Keep going in time, we come to cave art. And of course, we're familiar with the cave paintings. These are not only early Homo sapiens, but also in some cases Neanderthals. We do know that now. This is a relatively recent discovery that we are not the only cave painters. But what's fascinating for me about this is you have these glorious depictions of animals that these people hunted. But in addition to that, some very mystical and fantastic figures, a bird-headed man in Lascaux Cave in France, a human that is part bison, some other just wild figures. So this is not just people representing the reality they saw before them, but rather there's an interest in what is not in front of you, what is not just here and now. We fast forward one more time. We go to Turkey, to this particular perhaps temple, Göbekli Tepe, is dated to that period on a hill in Turkey. Massive 50-ton blocks that people moved onto a hillside and carved with, again, elaborate, largely animal images. We think this is a ritual space. Not everyone agrees. This is contentious. But in every single case, there is a good argument to be made for the possibility of the human brain uncoupling itself from the here and now to think about these questions of the supernatural. And we have hints. We have to go forward in time again before we come to a real